Less than 1 month and we are back with Cremonese versus Juve on the 4th of January. Rivoluzione tattica. Tactical revolution. This is the title of the video, but also what is happening in the mind of Massimiliano Allegri. Why? Why? Because for the very first time, Max Allegri will have the possibility to choose instead of being obliged to go for a formation, because he will have the entirety, or at least that's what we are hoping, the entirety of his team at disposal. Instead of looking who's around him in La Continassa and saying, hey, that's the formation we'll have to play with because that's the only solution I have at the moment, this time he will have to adapt and to change and to say, this is what I want to go for. We have 10 points to recuperate from Napoli, but also we have to pay attention to all the ones that are behind. We have Inter, we have Roma, Lazio, Atalanta. They are all there, ready to jump in the top 4. Securing top 4 and dreaming. How will Max do it? We'll try to enter in the brains of Max. We'll discover it after you putting a maximum of like. After subscribing to the channel, we start. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I promised you this morning, second video of the day, and this time more tactical video. What is in mind of Max Allegri? He wants to change everything. What? Well, to understand what the new Juve will look like, the one of 2023, we have to go back before the goal of Di Maria versus Sassuolo. Before that game of Sassuolo, we have to go back towards the Mercato is crazy of the summer. Do you remember? Mercato is crazy tonight, la 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 la. Well, we have to go back there because everything was telling us we are going towards a 4-3-3. This is the idea of Max Allegri. Why? 4 men in the defense to give some defensive solidity, something that Max Allegri loves to. If you read already his books once in your life, you know it. Balance, and also the best defense wins in Serie A. Do you remember? 4 men there. Then in the midfield, physicality, creativity, and some goals. Paul Pogba, Paredes. Attenzione, we'll come back on the name, so remain on the channel. Max of like, I repeat you. Subscribe to the channel, I repeat you. And then up front, Champagne. Calcio Champagne. Why? Because with the return of Federico Chiesa, with Angel El Fideo Di Maria, well, it would have been so much easier to assist the one that should have scored and banged so many goals. We are speaking about Dudu Vlahovic. Well, if you're looking at the men that I didn't mention yet, 4 men in defense, a bit obliged on the fullback position, Alexandro and Danilo. Why? Because we knew it. We opted for not going towards right and left back, even if we know it's a mistake, but that's what we said, to solidify and reinforce other positions. Bremer, Kostic, Pogba, Di Maria, Paredes, for example. Well, Alexandro on the left, Danilo on the right, 2 men in the back with Bremer and Bonucci. Up front in the midfield we had Paredes, Rabiot and Pogba. There is no mistake, guys. I know you will tell me, Beppe, where is Locatelli? Where are Miretti and Fagioli? Well, Miretti and Fagioli, it was the beginning of the season in the summer. We were not expecting them to be starters. We were not expecting to see them playing as much as we did this year, or the first part of Serie A. What about Locatelli? Well, in the interview, controversial one, from Allegri to Mario Sconcerti, you all remember when the things were going really bad, he said it. It's a virtual Juventus. The real Juventus has a starting midfielder with Rabiot, Pogba and Paredes. That's the lineup that we see here in the mind of Allegri, in the laboratorium of Los Angeles, Las Vegas and Dallas. Do you remember? Well, that was the lineup with up front Chiesa, I told you, Champagne El Fideo and Dusan Vlahovic. Something that is fantastic on paper, beautiful on paper, especially from the midfield on top. But we never saw that lineup. Why? Because of injuries. Pogba, we saw him 45 minutes versus Chivas, Guadalajara, do you remember? And then injury. Chiesa, longer than expected. If we were all hoping to see him in September, we had to wait November to see him back on the field. Di Maria more out than in. Paredes, total flop. So, Max Allegri, he had to adapt a lot of formations, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 3-5-2, stop. Because that's one that Max Allegri, he understood, attenzione, because I was a bit stubborn, but from the moment that we changed 3-5-2 with McKennie out, giving chance to these young players, well, 6 wins in a row, 6 times clean sheet in a row. He loves that. Solidity in defense. Well, why changing things that are working? Why changing them? Gazzetta dello Sport, they went with a tactical revolution with that lineup. I know there were some confusion with some translation online. I saw that people didn't really understood it. Well, this is what Gazzetta dello Sport was saying. A lineup that you can see here with Pogba in the middle and then one small change. Pogba out and Rabiot in. Why? Because according to Gazzetta dello Sport, Pogba, when he will be back, he will not be able to play game in, game out. Rotation between Pogba and Rabiot only change. The idea is to continue, to give continuity with that three-man defense, because we know it. The four-man defense was not working. De Ligt out, Bremer in. Maybe Juventus won a bit in terms of someone with actually doing really great. He's doing really great, but not on the left side in a four-man defense. His role, and we saw it, and when he was at disposal, Maxi was testing him, is in the middle of a three-man defense where he's giving the best he can. Not only Bremer, but also is beneficial for his two teammates from Brazil, Danilo and Alexandro, left and right. They are doing fantastically well. Why changing these men at the moment that are super performing and have a full of confidence? Yes, they are sad about Brazil. We don't care. Now they have to think about Juventus. Well, we continue with them. Gazzetta is saying we play with a 5-man in the middle with Di Maria behind Chiesa and Vlahovic. Kostic, that deserves to be a starter there. Quadrado, because there are not a lot of solutions if we are not thinking about Mercato. Locatelli won a position towards Paredes that is not there anymore. So that can be the idea of Gazzetta dello Sport, or with Pogba or with Rabiot. I have a lot of questions, my friend. Before going towards what I would propose, I have a lot of questions. If we can say that we have Ealing Jr. that has been promoted on the left side to replace Kostic when he needs to rotate, and we are okay. If we say that we have three men that are able to sub the one behind, we have Rugani, Gatti and Bonucci. De Sciglio is probably not enough for Quadrado. And even if he was enough, we know that physically we cannot trust De Sciglio. And that's a problem. But I have another problem. What about Moiskin, that is super power, super doing well? What about Milik, that showed that when he is on the field he's giving his best? But I have a biggest problem. My biggest problem is, what about the midfield? Because at today we have 7 midfielders in our team. I'm not even counting Rovella that will be back with Arthur, with Zakaria for the summer, where we have to find a new solution for them. I'm speaking about the one that we have at the moment with some young promises that need also some playing time. So we have some solutions. 7 midfield. If we really want to play with only 2 of them, well, we'll have to sell at least 2 players. McKennie is on the transfer market. It's fine, it's great, but we need also a team that wants to buy. Monaco, Dortmund, they are ready apparently to give 30 million, but is it true or not? We don't know. Until I don't see the player with another shirt, I don't believe in it. So 2-man midfield is a problem. Playing a 3-5-2 potentially could limit us a bit in terms of creativity up front, because if we know that Juventus is not conceding a lot of goal, or they are not conceding anymore, we need to score. We need a bit of offensive power. So I came back with another idea that I believe that Max Allegri will do, and that's what is in mind of Max Allegri. This lineup, a 3-5-2 that can become a 3-4-1-2 without Di Maria, because Rabiot, guys, do you really believe that Rabiot, if he stays until the end of the year, he will be on the bench with Max Allegri? Forget about it. We are sure, you know, I know, Max knows, we all know that Rabiot is a starter. Actually, it's a Rabiot plus 10 other players. And if we are looking at the Rabiot from France, if you are looking at the Rabiot from the first part of the season, is he wrong? Was he wrong to give him the trust? Well, no. So Rabiot starts, whatever happens, and he's never injured. So he continues, he will be a starter. So why not putting 3 midfielders with Rabiot, Locatelli as a regista, and Pogba that can become that number 10 as Max wants? Is it something totally crazy? No, because we already saw these experiments of Max Allegri. We saw it with McKennie first as a really strange number 10, but also with Miretti. Do you remember some games where we were playing that 3-5-1-1 with Miretti behind the strikers? Why? Because that gave us actually some solidity with Miretti coming down or McKennie coming down, because that first job is midfielders. Can you imagine Pogba in that position? That would be fantastic. You need to change him because physically he doesn't have the 90 minutes. You put in creativity with Di Maria. Fantastic. We can do a lot of other solutions. Rabiot out, you put a Fagioli. Paredes in instead of Locatelli. You can do a lot of things. Miretti can play instead of McKennie or Di Maria instead of Pogba. You can do a lot of things. If you're looking at actually the bench that you have all the players here. Perin, 3 men in defense, we know them. Ealing Jr. promoted there. De Sciglio at the moment waiting for Karsdorp or the other names that we are mentioning. We're speaking about Mela from Atalanta or maybe another solution, Odriozola. We don't know. Well, at the moment it's De Sciglio. Rabiot, Fagioli, Miretti behind Moiskin and Milik. We know that Moiskin and Milik, they already play together and they did quite well. With 3 extra bonus men is Weston McKennie, Paredes, and we have Matthias Soulé. Matthias Soulé that is made for a 4-3-3. Let's see if during the games we can go back to that 4-3-3 with Matthias Soulé at a certain moment playing. Why not? We can. Well, Max Allegri, tactical revolution. What is the biggest tactical revolution? The 3-man defense, that we continue with it, but also, according to me, trying to involve as much as possible midfielder and trying to think also, if we are looking at the possible solutions, I really believe that one of the midfielders will leave. I don't know if it's Rabiot, I don't know if it will be McKennie, why not immediately Paredes, I don't know. But one will leave, that's a fact. Not the youngsters, because we'll try to find space for them, and that will certainly not be with a 2-man midfield, or at least not for some games, yes, why not, but not at the long term. That's what I think, that's what I believe it's in the mind of Max Allegri. I trust 50% the article of Gazzetta dello Sport. I adapted it a bit. Instead of Di Maria, an extra midfielder. Defense, attack, balance. What is in the mind of Max Allegri. I want your comments about that tactical video. Grazie, forza, Juve.